Martinez somewhat.
Well, to put it simply, Mark McGwire said that Pedro Martinez last year was the best pitcher in either league. Mark McGwire, a dominating hitter in the National League, talking about Pedro Martinez, and he has great stuff.
He won his first 5 this year. Let's take a look at the Mets batting order that Martinez will face tonight. Brian McRae back in the leadoff spot. He's in center field. Bernard Gilkey batting second and left with Mike Piazza, who certainly drew a lot of attention related to Hideo Nomo's trade to New York, behind the plate with Olerud at first, still leading the league. Baerga at second, Alfonso at third, and yes, there's a DH when you play in American League ballparks. Matt Franco with Butch Husky in right. Luis Lopez at shortstop. Ray Ordonez getting the night off. But Martinez, I guess once he picked up that circle change, or I guess some look at it now as a straight change, that made all the difference for him, didn't it?
Well, he has a great changeup, and he's dominated hitters in the National League and now in the American League because of that changeup. And he can get the fastball up there. He can overpower hitters. Martinez relies on the fastball and the straight change. This year he had a viral infection which set him back. He lost a lot of weight, and he could ill afford to lose weight.
Last time out for Pedro Martinez was last Sunday at Yankee Stadium. Red Sox scored 11 runs in the third inning, wound up winning the game 13-7. And so here's McRae. Did not start the last game in Pittsburgh. He had a slight hamstring problem, and takes the first pitch for Martinez inside for a ball. McRae at .239, 4 homers, 24 RBIs. Somewhat better hitter from the left side than the right. And that's fouled straight back.
You heard a lot about this ballpark as far as the Green Monster. Everybody thinks that's the attractiveness of hitting in this ballpark. Just as attractive as the background, you get a good look at the pitch because of the big green background.
If you have never been to Fenway Park and you have a chance to get up here and watch a ball game or two, one thing you'll notice immediately when you see that green monster, and this is basically a one-level ballpark anyway, so you have pretty close proximity no matter where you sit, but you get the feeling you could fungo a wiffle ball off that left field wall. It's so close. Or seems to be.
Go easy with that. It's not that close.
I said you get the feeling you could do it. That's the, I mean, listen, that thing screwed up a lot of hitters over the years, present company excluded.
Easy. Great place to hit. Even Howie Rose can hit that wall.
On the outside corner, McRae is gone. So Martinez spots the fastball, 1 man away.
Well, the biggest thing for a hitter playing in Fenway Park is don't change anything. Swing the bat the way you would swing it any place else. Same with a pitcher. Pitch the same way, and right there Martinez puts it right on the corner above the belt and gets McRae looking.
So 1 man away. Bernard Gilkey coming up. Outside for a ball.
Defense is important in Boston, even with the Green Monster. Garciaparra and Valentin, 17 errors on the left side of that infield.
And the fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike to Gilkey, who has struggled against Martinez.
By the way, left side of that infield is good despite the 17 errors. Garciaparra, one of the better defensive shortstops in all of baseball.
And the breaking ball. 1 and 2 to Bernard.
That was a nice shot. There's Garciaparra out of Louisiana Tech. I should say Georgia Tech. He roomed with Jay Payton, who was in AAA with the Mets.
Gilkey smashes it the other way. This one headed towards the wall, but it's cut off in right field by Lewis. Gilkey trying for second, and he's in there with a double. So Gilkey shoots one up the alley. And the Mets have a 1-out runner in scoring position.
He fooled him with the breaking ball, and he said, you know what, I think I can sneak the fastball by him. He couldn't do it. Nice swing. Gilkey, those eyes bulging as he swings the bat and hits the ball in a gap and hustles around the bases into second base with a double. Ball cut off by Darren Lewis. So the Mets have a runner on second base in scoring position for Mike Piazza.
And Piazza has handled Martinez pretty well. 7 for 17 with 3 home runs, but the fastball rides high.
One of the most outspoken pitchers concerning Mike Piazza when he was traded away from the Dodgers. As far as Dodger pitchers were concerned, Ramon Martinez. There's Hideo Nomo.
What you can't see under that jacket is his uniform number. Charlie Samuels gave him Doc's old 16. Piazza fouls it off.
And Charlie was very close to Doc Gooden.
Charlie's a little nervous. He was telling me before the game, I don't know about this. I mean, let's face it, Hideo Nomo is certainly a high-profile player in the league and deserves to wear the number of his choice. But he's afraid about how Dwight's going to react to it. He says, I know my phone's going to ring tonight or tomorrow morning. Nomo could care less as long as he's got his number.
Mike Piazza led all hitters in interleague play. We showed you that graphic a moment ago. He's comfortable against National Leaguers and American Leaguers.
It'll be a 1-1 to Piazza, and it rides inside.
Piazza, when I was talking to him the other day, he was talking about Ramon Martinez criticizing him when he left the Dodgers. He was not happy with it. And here he is facing his brother at Fenway Park.
John Olerud waiting on deck. Never had a hit against Martinez. Piazza fouls it back, 2-2. Of course, Brett Butler also criticized Piazza after the fact.
Yeah,
after Butler retired.
The best thing, if you have something to say to somebody, say it to their face. Why wait?
Gilkey double. He leads from second with 1 out. Red Sox a step the other way in the outfield against Piazza. And Piazza is caught. Now the question is exactly where, and is he all right? Martinez will cut that fastball right at inside. More so to left-hand hitters than right-hand hitters. Bobby Valentine, along with Fred Healy, want to check out Piazza. And you wonder, you talked about Ramon Martinez and Piazza's feelings towards him as well, and factor these things in.
And Pedro Martinez, when he first came up to the major leagues, hit a lot of batters. They talked him out of it. They worked with him to stop hitting batters. He has real good control. Right there, he hits Mike Piazza.
Now remember, Martinez, when he came up, had the reputation of a headhunter.
Yeah, but they worked with him in the bullpen to get him out of it. Now Al Leiter, looking out and watching the top RBI man, one of the top RBI men in baseball, and a very important part of the Mets ball club, being nursed by Fred Healy down the first baseline. And I'm sure Al Leiter might have to think about throwing inside on a Red Sox player.
Leiter throws into the right-handers anyway, so that's not going to change his repertoire.
Well, Piazza diving into the ball, and the ball really running in on Piazza.
What does it sound like? Pain.
The first baseman, John Olerud.
Piazza's in obvious pain here. Certainly wants to stay in the game. These things have a habit of swelling up sometimes sooner than later. Obviously, it's his left hand. It doesn't affect his throwing, but when it affects your ability to handle a bat and you hit the way Piazza does, certainly that's a major problem, potentially. So here's Olerud with 2 on. Takes ball 1. Our umpire lineup brought to you by NAM, National Arbitration and Mediation, the most timely, cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes. American League umpires, Al Clark behind the plate, Terry Cramp, Jim McKean, and Jim Joyce on the baselines. Olerud tried to check his swing and did, according to Jim Joyce. 2-0 to Olerud, who uncharacteristically struck out 3 times the other night.
And Olerud has struggled against Martinez.
0 for 9, 5 strikeouts against him. He takes the off-speed pitch. So 3-0 now on Olerud with runners at first and second. Carlos Baerga, the on-deck batter.
Maybe it shook Martinez up, hitting Piazza.
Jimmy Williams, manager of the Boston Red Sox. And Baerga. And the 3-0 over at the knees. Bobby Valentine likes to send his runners. A lot of managers over the last 10 or 15 years have really got more into running on 3-1, putting the hit and run on 3-1. They're not going here, and Olerud fouls it back.
seems that the Red Sox and teams that come in here and play the Red Sox should take their running game away from them. This is a ballpark where managers seem to want the hitter to hit the ball and utilize that bat. You don't see very many bunts. You don't see many guys trying to steal bases.
Red Sox don't really have a running game. Fewest stolen bases in the American League. Jimmy Williams has him off to a great start. Now the runners go, and Olerud fouls it back. You agree with that point, though, about the 3-1 count where managers, I think, really over the last 10 years or so, more than ever before, seem to be more aggressive on that count. Used to be you get to 2-1 and say, all right, that's as close to the automatic hit and run count as possible. Yeah. Now they're doing it 3-1.
Well, I agree with that. I think that the 3-0 pitch is a time where you should become more aggressive. Most managers are passive on the 3-0 pitch.
So they were running 3-2 before. You figure they will again. And they are. And Olerud lines it to center. Around third is Gilkey. He scores. And Olerud has an RBI single. The Mets are leading by a score of 1-0. So John Olerud picks up his 30th RBI of the year on a 3-2 pitch for Martinez.
So John Olerud going down, head down on the ball, and he does what he does best. Hits the ball where it's pitched, right back up the middle into center field, and once again driving in a key run for the Mets.
So his first hit ever against Martinez delivers a run, and now it's Carlos Baerga, and he has owned Martinez. 7 out of 10 against one of the elite right-handers in baseball. But the change on the outside corner.
Funny how when you watch Baerga now, when he's swinging a good bat, very aggressive, even when he gets in the batter's box. When you're struggling with the bat, you're passive, as Mike Piazza leads off second and Olerud off first.
Piazza leads from second, Olerud from first. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike on Baerga. Mets and Red Sox have played 10 meaningful games in their history. 7, of course, in the fall of 1986. 3 last year, all of which were at Shea Stadium. Mets lost 2 out of 3 here in the '86 World Series, winning games 3 and 4, losing game 5. And the 0-2 pitch inside, I think I might have said 1-1 before, was 0-2, and now the fastball backs Baerga off the plate.
One thing Martinez learned early in his career, as you look at Edgardo Alfonso, is to pitch inside.
He had a nasty reputation first couple of years.
There were a lot of teams gunning for him because of it.
And he overpowers Carlos Baerga. So 2 strikeouts in the inning now for Pedro Martinez. 2 men away, and Alfonso coming up.
A lot of times you get too keyed up in a situation like a Red Sox Met game, and Baerga was so keyed up he chases his ball right out of the strike zone. Can't hit that pitch, not from Martinez. He throws too hard. You know, sometimes you're so geared up when the game starts and you get in the batter's box, you're so aggressive, sometimes too aggressive.
So Alfonso with Piazza on second, Olerud at first, takes a slider for a strike. Alfonso, since coming off the disabled list, starting to round back into his typical hitting form, hitting the ball with authority the other way. Outfield shades him a step towards right. And now it's 0-2. Alfonso hit leadoff most of April. Very rarely during the month of May, at least before he got hurt, and then batted leadoff on Wednesday in Pittsburgh when Brian McRae took a rest. Tonight, Ray Ordonez has the day off. And this will be an 0-2 pitch. Valentin goes the short way, and the side retired. But the Mets break on top. RBI single by John Olerud off of Pedro Martinez. Mets 1. Leiter goes to work.
Mike Piazza in the back of the left hand, and he's been removed from this ball game. In the dugout. This is while we were away at commercial, and Mike Piazza removed from the ball game. Had to go in and get some ice on that hand. Probably have it x-rayed also. So a new catcher for the Mets, the home run hitter in San Francisco, Alberto Castillo.
Now you could tell too with Piazza as he went down to first base, and even while he was on base, he was wincing and shaking that hand. And when a guy who throws as hard as Martinez comes inside and gets you on the hand, you have to worry whether or not anything's broken. So I think it's safe to say he will undergo x-rays, and if we get any word on that, we'll pass it along. Meantime, the Red Sox will go after Al Leiter. Darren Lewis, leadoff batter, playing right field. And Leiter, who has really struggled here at Fenway, throws a fastball up and away.
There are some teams that will try to schedule left-handers when they're not coming into Fenway Park or after they leave Fenway Park. He's got good stuff. He should be able to win in this ballpark.
Slider inside. 2 balls, no strikes. Leiter had a great demeanor about himself handling the questions in Wednesday in Pittsburgh, 2 days before the game here. He throws a fastball for a strike to Lewis. Everybody wanted to get advance quotes from Leiter on coming to Fenway Park, and of course Leiter knew that a lot of those questions would be about his struggles here, and he smiled and joked and cajoled and kidded all the way through it. Chopped foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Leiter is one of those baseball players, Fran, who grew up a fan, and so he has a certain appreciation for pitching in the historic parks like Fenway Park, like Wrigley Field, that players who grew up without a whole lot of an historical perspective on the game might not have.
Knows he's been a big fan, and of course everybody knows he grew up a Met fan. He should win in this ballpark. One thing the right-handers seem to do is lay off that breaking ball that breaks down and in this ballpark. Other places they're chasing it.
Ball 4, and Darren Lewis is aboard.
It looked like Al Leiter threw a straight change there.
So the Red Sox get Lewis on leading off. Now it'll be John Valadin, the third baseman, followed by shortstop Nomar Garcia-Parra. Bo Vaughn on the cleanup spot at first with Jim Leyritz, the DH. Damon Buford, a former Met, in center field. Mike Benjamin at second. Jason Varitek, the catcher. And Darren Bragg in left field. So here's Valentin. Fastball taken for a strike.
Out of Seton Hall. Outstanding collegiate player, along with Mo Vaughn. Craig Biggio at Seton Hall.
And he was ejected from Wednesday's game here against the Baltimore Orioles, arguing with Tim Welke. And Valentin pops it into short center. In comes McRae. Out is Baerga, and it's Baerga to make the catch.
Baerga ran a long way for that ball. That was a nice play by Carlos. He said he's an offensive second baseman. His defense has improved. You're watching him with his back to home plate going way out there making the grab. Looked like it might have been the center fielder's ball. And McRae had a beat on it, but Baerga called him off.
Well, the wind's been blowing in most of the afternoon, and it's a little breezier than it is on a normal June night here in Boston. So the outfielders might be in for some adventures. It might take a little more than usual to poke one into that screen. Nomar Garcia-Parra, who can do it, backed off the plate by Leiter.
Yeah, when he was out for a few days, the Red Sox struggled. When he's in the lineup, they're a good team.
Garcia-Parra was on the disabled list with a sprained shoulder. Fouled straight back, 1-1.
And behind Al Leiter defensively, the Mets set up with Luis Lopez in his 4th start at shortstop. Ray Ordonez, who didn't look very pleased, is not in the lineup for the first game of this 3-game series.
Garcia-Parra fouls it off his leg. It's 1-2. Well, you go back to last year, and Ray Ordonez was not happy about having been not benched or scratched, but simply not started for a couple of games. And Bobby Valentine had to lay the law down and say nobody's playing 162 here.
That was right after the All-Star break last year when the Mets were in Atlanta, and Bobby Valentine was very upset. But I can understand Ordonez wanting to play. Garcia-Parra's in the lineup. It's a pride type of thing. He wants to show how good he is defensively to the Red Sox fans.
Fastball away. It's 2-2 to Garcia-Parra. Mo Vaughn waiting on deck. And the 2-2. Lopez to Baerga. And Olerud a double play. So Vaughn will have to wait. No runs, no hits, a walk, nobody left. One in the books.
Matt Franco.
Second inning in Boston, Mets leading 1-0, and Matt Franco, the designated hitter, followed by Butch Husky and Luis Lopez in the Mets batting order. Franco had a home run, pretty big one off of Pedro Martinez last year at Shea Stadium, looking for his first long ball this year. Matt was inserted into the game in Pittsburgh Wednesday with the Mets down a run. Bobby Valentine hitting for Rick Reed in the 7th inning. Reed had been brilliant. Franco popped up the first pitch from John Lieber. And Martinez backs him off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, Leiter talking to Castillo. We've seen this a number of times this year. He has the arm around him. It's almost like a lesson.
Fastball to Franco, 1-2.
Remember in Chicago at Wrigley Field, they were having problems with their signs.
A lot of problems that day at Wrigley, not the least of which was the weather.
And from a picture like that, it's clear that Al Leiter's in charge of the batteries during the course of the game. That won't happen with Piazza and Hundley.
And again, if you're just joining us, Mike Piazza hit on the hand by a pitch from Pedro Martinez in the first inning, and we have no word. Oh, Jay Horwitz is in the booth.
Just walked in.
And the 1-2 to Franco, punched foul behind the plate. It's a contusion to the left hand.
He's going to be X-rayed.
And he will be X-rayed, as we speculated. Will we have results of that X-ray tonight, or will that have to wait? Well, Jay says he hopes so. So we're all on the same page. Bobby Valentine will be the first to know.
Jay liked to use that word contusion.
He was pre-med. And the 1-2 to Franco, fouled away.
Will you ever forget the home run as you look at Butch Husky on deck that Matt Franco hit off Pedro Martinez last year at Shea Stadium?
It took Martinez a while to forget it. He rearranged that Montreal Expos dugout and locker room after it was done. In fact, he sat in that dugout for a long time after the game. And the 1-2 fouled away. Let's go back to that shining moment of Matt Franco's last season.
In a dramatic home run, Martinez was pitching a masterpiece. Everybody forgot it except Martinez. And I'm sure it's on his mind right now.
Franco tried to hold his swing, and he did, according to Jim Joyce. That evens the count 2-2. That was almost 1 year ago to the day. Today being June 5th. That home run coming on June 3rd of last year. 2-2 to Franco, starting the second. It's 1-0 New York. And the breaking ball fouled off. A lot of the media, especially those who are local Boston media who don't travel, were besieging Mookie Wilson over the last few hours, getting his recollections of 1986. First time the Mets have been here since their World Series showdown that year. Did play an exhibition game here that season. And Franco is down on strikes. Now that World Series was nothing special to the last couple of games. In fact, the first game was a yawner until Tim Tuffle got beat through the 5-hole.
Edman steps in with 1 down. The pitch, ground ball to second. Tuffle has it go between his legs. Strawberry picks it up. Here comes Rice. Throw coming to the plate to Carter, not in time. Throw to second, not in time. Red Sox lead.
And won the game 1-0 as Husky takes a breaking ball, 1-0.
Jim Rice is in the ballpark as the batting instructor with the Red Sox tonight.
And Mookie and Rice, the only combatants from that series in uniform in any capacity today.
There's Jim. He's hit some long home runs.
See that little spill of the cup towards the camera? It's one of the reasons why he hasn't gotten better consideration for the Hall of Fame. When I was a radio reporter in New York, he would do interviews with his back to you.
I guess
difficult to pick up with a microphone.
I guess you could say he was shy.
Well, Surly would be a little more like it. I mean, his credentials, pretty significant as far as the Hall of Fame's concerned. And Butch Husky takes ball 4, so on 4 pitches, Husky's aboard. First walk issued by Pedro Martinez. And that'll bring up Luis Lopez.
When Martinez won the Cy Young Award last year in Montreal, one thing he had was pinpoint control. Talk started in September. Dan Duquette, the general manager of the Red Sox, told me before the ball game tonight that he started to talk about Pedro Martinez in September last year with the Montreal Brass. Hard to believe a Cy Young Award winner would be traded away the year he wins the award.
Well, in Montreal, if you make a little bit of money, you're vulnerable. Lopez grounds to second. They get 1. And a nice pick by Vaughn to complete the double play. So Benjamin starts it. Vaughn finishes it. And the Mets are done in the second. No runs, no hits. The double play leaves no one on base. Still 1-0 New York.
From the rivers to the park, New York is a city of bridges. And every day, American Airlines is building new ones. From the New York area to over 250 cities worldwide. A bridge is more than stone and steel, and an airline is more than a fleet of planes, yet both can take you where you want to go. American Airlines, New York's bridge to the world.
Sorry, the New York Lotto jackpot is now $15 million. That's $15 million. Cool. Mother!
Connecting with the wrong internet provider can leave even the most experienced net user frustrated and abandoned. Now there's a better way. BellAtlantic.net, with access to Big Yellow, your yellow pages on the web, and a helpful staff to guide you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Bell Atlantic can open doors to the internet you never knew existed. Wild things are happening. Bell Atlantic. We'll see you there.
Fox Sports News prime time. 25 years ago, the great Secretariat. And now, this year's real quiet contender. Tonight, run for the Triple Crown. Only on Fox Sports News prime time.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by Tri-State Ford dealers. Expect more, get more. Let your Tri-State quality Ford dealers show you why there's more to afford. Pass to the second as Pedro Martinez talks things over in the Red Sox dugout. Martinez along with his catcher Jason Varitek. And here's Mo Vaughn. Cleanup hitter, first baseman, and a great changeup by Leiter.
Mo Vaughn having another solid season offensively. He's a decent first baseman. Probably will not be with the Red Sox after this year.
He is a free agent at the end of the season. And the fastball off the outside corner. What do you think? Is Mo Vaughn bound for the Hall of Fame? Well, some feel that Jim Rice belongs there. And this comparison is almost mind-boggling. Down to the point, almost to the home run, almost to the RBI. Inside 2-1. I mean, that's almost impossible to play that many games and have virtually identical statistics. Vaughn might have a better shot at the Hall than Rice, and this may be debated forever in terms of whether it's right or wrong, but Vaughn's a better guy, and the media warm up to Vaughn in a way that they did not to Rice.
I agree with you, and it is wrong. If Rice belongs in the Hall of Fame because of his stats, so be it. Put him in.
3 balls, 1 strike to Vaughn. And he hits that one hard. McRae over, and he has to play it on a hop. Vaughn will hold on at first with a long single. First hit for the Red Sox off of Leiter.
Vaughn looked comfortable standing in there against Al Leiter. Usually teams change their lineup because a guy like Leiter's pitching, but Vaughn hits that ball hard. McRae cuts it off. Good swing. Where will Mo Vaughn end up next year? He's on first base right now.
Let's hope he stays there the rest of the inning. Meantime, it's Jim Leyritz. He's the designated hitter. Been in a platoon situation for the most part this year with Reggie Jefferson as the Red Sox DH. The former Yankee swings and misses. Leyritz, of course, can also catch, play first base, but tonight Varitek's behind the plate. Scott Hatteberg has done quite a bit of catching. Phone call from Mr. Healy. He broke his bat. Now can the Mets turn two? They've got one and their second consecutive double play. So the broken bat ground ball by Leyritz becomes 2 outs. Garcia-Parra grounded into a 6-4-3 to end the first. And now Leiter saws the bat off of Jim Leyritz.
Number 2, the center fielder, Damon Buford.
Jim Leyritz getting jammed. And how many bats has Al Leiter broken this year? Leyritz running down to first base with the handle. And the pitcher's delight, the 6-4-3 double play.
That's Leiter in a nutshell now. We talk about his propensity for pitching inside to right-handers, and he can break a lot of bats, and this time was able to help turn a double play, or at least induce the ground ball that started one. Leyritz looks over the remnants.
It looked like this is my gamer, and I'm going to use it despite it being broken. He looks depressed. Looking at his gamer.
Move on, Jim. 1-1 to Damon Buford. And again, the slider. 2 balls, 1 strike. Buford just came off the DL. He had a sprain in his knee, right knee.
What Leiter did to Leyritz, you expect about Leiter, even at Fenway Park, where he has struggled.
And that ball's hit well to left, but Gilkey has plenty of room. Remember, the wind's been blowing in, and Gilkey makes the catch to the side retired. No runs a hit. Double play erases Vaughn. Still 1-0 New York.
Dilbert for Office Depot.
I've decided to abandon logic and manage by cliches. It won't be easy, but I'll take it one bird at a time. And remember, the customer is always right-handed.
This is actually an improvement.
Here's a real improvement. Office Depot's best catalog ever. Easier to use, easier to read, more products. Call today for your copy and start getting fast, free delivery, guaranteed low prices. Business is crazy, but Office Depot makes sense.
Jim Rome on Karl Malone.
Don't joke with me. Lock me up this summer or I am gonzo.
Rome on Base Brawl.
It was a gutless, reckless act, and it's all on Benitez.
Rome on Foreman Holmes.
Yeah, I need a 50-year-old fraud going up against a 49-year-old former champ like I need a hole in my dome.
Rome on bowling.
Anything that you get better at as you consume alcohol is not a sport.
The Last Word, weeknights on Fox Sports New York.
Monday, interleague play returns to Fox Sports New York. Mike Piazza and the Mets are back to charge up the Big Apple when Tampa Bay makes its first visit to Shea. The Mets sting the Devil Rays, and Fox Sports New York has it Monday at 7:30.
Third inning here in Boston. It's only natural to look back to that 1986 World Series. The Mets wanted to forget that second game as quickly as possible. Dwight Gooden was shellacked. Henderson and Evans took him deep. That's Wade Boggs, Younger and Trimmer. Marty Barrett going the other way as the Red Sox blew the Mets out, frustrating Gary Carter and Davey Johnson. In fact, Davey Johnson, the Mets manager at the time, probably instigated the turning point of the series. He canceled the workout between games 2 and 3, which wasn't all that popularly received by members of the media, but he felt, hey, listen, just shut it down for a day. And then they came back for game 3. Lenny Dykstra started it off with a home run off of Oil Can Boyd. And the Mets eventually, as you know, came back to win the series. Right here, it's the third inning. Brian McRae struck out looking his first time up. No balls and 1 strike. Mets would win game 6. Legendary Saturday night game 6. Bill Buckner had an even bigger 5-hole than Tuffle did in game 1. That's pulled foul. And then there was a rainout the next night, so Bruce Hurst, who had beaten the Mets twice in that series, got a chance to pitch game 7. Had a 3-0 lead. Mets tied it, eventually won it to win their second world championship. And the 0-2 pitch to McRae, and the slider misses inside. Martinez has a good tight slider, an outstanding changeup. Bernard Gilkey doubled the other way his first time up, so he's waiting for another shot at Pedro. And Ryan McRae struck out for the second time. 4 strikeouts now for Martinez, 1 gone in the 3rd. Well, that boxing card featuring Evander Holyfield against Henry Akinwande has been postponed. Fight scheduled for tomorrow night. Tickets will be refunded because Akinwande failed to pass his required physical. So for information on those refunds, jot that number down, 212-307-7171. Give it to you one more time. It's 212-307-7171.
See if Martinez comes back with that fastball. That's the pitch Gilkey hit first time up. Nope, he goes with the breaking ball. So that's 2 breaking balls after Gilkey picked up a base hit on the fastball.
And Gilkey pops it up into short left. Darren Bragg coming in. Oh, that wind, huh? And Bragg took a straight pass to the ball and then had to move almost at a 90-degree angle. Second out here in the 3rd.
Well, the scouting report on Martinez. He can throw that cheese. Great slider and the best changeup in baseball. That's a formula for success.
Number 30, the catcher.
Well, now it's Alberto Castillo. Again, if you're just joining us, Mike Piazza hit by a pitch from Martinez in the 1st inning. Calling it a contusion for now. He's undergoing x-rays, and we hope to have a further report before this game is over. And 0-1 to Castillo.
Well, Martinez in the 1st inning with the runner on base ran the fastball in on Mike Piazza, and Piazza needs x-rays. There's a shot of him leaving the dugout heading to the clubhouse.
Castillo wants time. Now listen, you've no doubt been in situations like that. As hard as Martinez throws, will you be surprised if there's not a broken bone?
Well, you know, I mean,
based on where it hit him.
Yeah.
Top of the hand. And the slider misses to Castillo. 1-1.
Well, you're vulnerable because you don't have any muscle to take the brunt of the blow from the ball.
Plus you got those thin bones too on top of the hand, which make them even more vulnerable.
I don't know if Piazza's thin any place. He might have muscle on top of those bones.
He's going to need a lot of it to protect where he was hurt. And again, hopefully have more information for you later. 1-2 to Castillo, breaking ball.
I wonder if it ran through Piazza's mind what he told me about Ramon Martinez, his severe criticism of Piazza after he left the Dodgers.
Well, they will always speculate about Martinez's intentions, and that goes back to his first couple of years. Castillo hits it deep to left field, and that ball is gone on the screen. Two to nothing, New York. Piazza probably wouldn't have hit it much farther than that anyway. With a wind blowing in.
Castillo said, I told you I could do it. I did it in San Francisco. And he picks up a long home run over the Green Monster.
Number 5, the first baseman.
Ramon Martinez gets 2 quick strikes with breaking balls, and he throws a heater, challenges Castillo, and he loses it.
Second home run of the year for Castillo. 2-0 Mets, and here's Olerud, and he takes a fastball.
Here's that home run swing. Alberto Castillo with the fastball gets the head of the bat on the ball. He said, I know it's gone. He ran around the bases a little bit quicker this time.
Because he knows Martinez will drill him next time.
And Olerud hits it deep to right field. Lewis to the warning track. That's
It's a gunner. Back-to-back home runs. Castillo and now Olerud. 3-0 Mets.
And up until this game, Olerud has struggled against Martinez in the past. And now has a single and a home run. Martinez not throwing the ball by the hitters. We talked about the viral infection he had earlier in the year. He lost a lot of weight, and he didn't have good mustard in that fastball, and Olerud turned on it. So 3-0 the Mets.
Well, you know, Martinez is an emotional pitcher, and you wonder, had he lost his concentration because of Castillo here?
I don't think so. Right there, that's a good pitch for Olerud to hit. Well, a home run will force a pitcher to lose his cut. Whoa!
Baerga almost gave Martinez a haircut. So 3 straight hits, 2 of them homers, all coming after 2 were out.
The concentration's important, but Howie, Martinez does not have the zip that we've seen him with that fastball. And when you don't have the good zip in a fastball, your changeup becomes ineffective. John Valentin, the third baseman, talking to Martinez. Jimmy Williams looking on. All Valentin wants to do right now is to get Martinez to refocus.
Joe Kerrigan, one of the outstanding pitching coaches in baseball, pitching coach here with the Boston Red Sox.
He had Martinez up in Montreal. The last trade, as you look at John Olerud, who just hit a home run, the last trade Dan Duquette of the Red Sox made as a general manager in Montreal was for Martinez.
So now it's Alfonso, takes a fastball for a strike. Fonzie bounced into a fielder's choice to end the first inning. 3-0 New York now. Olerud's driven in 2 of the 3, single and a home run. And Castillo puts one over the green monster onto the screen. Slider in the dirt. Mets now with 5 hits off of Martinez. Baerga not really a threat to runs. The pitch taken upstairs.
You mentioned Martinez's concentration after Castillo's home run. He threw 2 nasty sliders to Alberto Castillo, then threw him a fastball. Castillo hits the home run. Olerud comes up, gets a fastball. He hits a home run.
And it'll be a 2-1 pitch. Little chopper that's cut off by Valentin. And the side retired, but the Mets flex some muscle against Martinez in the 3rd. Castillo and Olerud go deep, back to back. 3-0 Mets. Lenny Dykstra led off game 3 in routine fashion.
And Lenny Dykstra led off the game.
Well hit fly ball down the right field line. Will it stay fair? If it does, it's gone. There it goes. Home run. Home run for Lenny Dykstra.
Mike Benjamin takes inside for ball 1 as we start the Boston 3rd. Now you might say, wait a minute, why is a leadoff home run by Len Dykstra routine? 2-0 to Benjamin. Well, the Mets have been in 3 World Series, 1969, 1973, 1986. And in each game 3, the first Mets batter of the ball game hit a home run. Tommy Agee leading off bottom of the 1st, game 3 in 69. Wayne Garrett, bottom of the 1st, game 3 in 73 against the A's. And Dykstra against the Red Sox. And the fastball, 3-1. So next time you're in Vegas, think Mets have a chance to be in the World Series, you want to make one of those oddball bets, keep history in mind. Bouncer up the middle. And Lopez will have to eat it. So an infield single for at least Mike Benjamin on at first, leading off the 3rd inning. New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by Discover Card. It pays to discover, accepted where you see the Novus sign. Mets with a 3-0 lead here in the last of the 3rd. Jason Varitek one time one of the outstanding catching prospects in collegiate baseball.
Yeah, if they're patient with this kid, he should be a good player. He's a switch hitter. He's got good talent. He throws the ball. He can catch the ball. Jay Payton told me if he did anything wrong, he probably works out too much. Jay Payton was a teammate of his at Georgia Tech, along with Nomar Garcia-Pera. He's gone down as one of the greatest collegiate catchers in the history of collegiate baseball.
You see Olerud playing in front of the runner Mike Benjamin. The pitch fouled off.
One problem he had when he was drafted out of Georgia Tech, he held out for a long time and missed some playing time.
He was originally drafted by the Twins, didn't sign. Went back into the draft. Seattle Mariners selected him and traded him to the Boston Red Sox eventually. Heathcliff Slocum. In fact, Varitek, one of 3 Georgia Tech products in the Boston lineup. Fran told you about Garcia-Pera. The on-deck batter, Darren Bragg, went to Georgia Tech as well.
Good baseball program. There's Bragg.
And a fastball, 0-2 to Varitek.
And one of the best hitters on that Georgia Tech team, Jay Payton. Unfortunately for Jay, his career's had setbacks because of injuries. Speaking of working hard, the Mets were amazed at how hard Jay Payton worked.
Off-speed pitch away, 1-2 now to Varitek.
But Payton told me Varitek would go in a weight room and he would be in there all the time. He would be taking extra batting practice. He would be working on his catching.
Two balls, 2 strikes now. Mets with a 3-0 lead. Red Sox now have 2 hits off of Leiter. And again, the wind blowing in tonight makes it even more remarkable that Castillo is able to launch one. And that ball launched past Alfonso. Gilkey gets to it quickly. May have a play at third. Not in time, though. Holding at first is Varitek. So the Red Sox have runners at the corners with nobody out.
Looked like the ball hit off that third base bag, taking a tricky hop on Edgardo Alfonso. Leiter going after Varitek, got the ball inside Varitek, pulling the ball and picking up a base hit. Watch that ball hit the base. Took a funny hop on Alfonso. If the ball doesn't hit the base, Alfonso makes the play. Gilkey comes up throwing the ball hard, but Benjamin beats the throw to third base. So a pretty good break for the Mets, that ball hitting off the base. And now the Red Sox with runners on first and third.
So Darren Bragg, the left fielder, bats for the first time. He's the number 9 hitter in the Red Sox order, and the change taken for a strike. Bragg, also a former Seattle Mariner, came over for left-hander Jamie Moyer. Resuscitated his career at the Kingdome. And that's taken downstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. And that ball fouled away. 1-2 on Bragg. The third time he's played left field this year. As you look at Benjamin at third and Varitek at first. He's played right field most of the time for the Red Sox. Darren Lewis is there tonight. And Bragg's done a good job at least getting a run in these situations. But he goes down on strikes. So Leiter picks up his first strikeout, keeps the runners put at first and third, 1 away.
Well, the key now is to get a ground ball. This is a nasty pitch right here to Bragg.
Number 20.
Ball bounces in the dirt. Just kept on breaking. Bragg unable to make contact. Now he walked Darren Lewis, who's the next batter, on a straight change, 3-2 changeup his first time up.
Infield set up for 2 on the fastball. Backs Lewis away.
Alberto Castillo going out to talk to Al Leiter. The first pitch to Lewis, way inside.
Well, it's easy now to speculate about purpose pitches after the injury to Mike Piazza hit by Pedro Martinez. But remember, Leiter will routinely come hard inside to right-hand batters.
Plus, if you're going to throw a purpose pitch and get a hit or in retaliation, don't do it with 2 men out.
Not necessarily that he was trying to hit him, just back him off the plate a little bit. Leiter has hit 5 batters this year. 2 balls, no strikes now to Darren Lewis. Bob Apodaca featured in our pregame show. Thank Dak for allowing us to put the microphone on him earlier this season. As the fastball sails away, it's 3-0. John Valentin on deck.
And Valentin has a lot of power. You want to get Lewis. Valentin's a guy that's hit many balls up in the screen here at Fenway Park.
This will be a 3-0 pitch to Darren Lewis. And it's right there.
Lewis is in a good hitting situation because you got to go get him. You're behind in the count. You got to throw him strikes to hit. And the defense for the Mets playing Lewis even up all the way around, shallow in the outfield.
Outside, ball full. The bases are loaded. So 2 singles and a walk. And Bobby Valentine will have to deal with John Valentin facing Leiter with the bases loaded. Second walk Leiter has issued, both to Lewis. So Valentin gets a fresh piece of lumber. He popped to second his first time up. Here's Mets co-owner Nelson Doubleday.
Flew in for the game tonight. Watch the Mets take on the Red Sox. The big news up here in Boston. Dale Nomo joining the Mets.
He will pitch on Tuesday against the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at Shea Stadium. But now a challenge for Leiter as Valentin steps in. Valentin 5 for 17 in his career against Leiter. Mets have the infield back at short and second. In fact, it's back all around as the fastball is taken up and away. Mets with a 3-run lead will try to turn 2 here with Benjamin Varitek and Lewis aboard. Valentin, good power, outfield respecting that. Deep and straight away. Alfonso comes home. They get the force.
That was a good move by Alfonso. He charged the ball. I thought his first move was going to be tag third and try to get the runner at first. But he wisely cut down the runner at the plate. If you're going to get one, get the lead guy. Alfonso in position to field that ball. Now you see he starts now to throw to the plate. And Castillo gave him a high target. Alfonso catching that ball and going right to the plate, getting the lead runner. Good move. Alfonso, good baseball instincts like Ordonez. You see the runner breaking on contact. So Benjamin cut down at the plate by Edgardo Alfonso. Many third basemen would take that ball and try to go to second and then on the first and give up the run if you don't get the runner at first.
Well, now it's Garcia Parra, and he gets jammed and fouls it off. Garcia Parra grounded into a 6-4-3 double play to end the first inning. That's with a 3-0 lead. Leiter trying to get out of a bases loaded situation here.
Yeah, a huge situation for Leiter because he's facing, if not the best hitter on the Red Sox, one of the best hitters.
Inside, 1-1.
And Al Leiter, a guy who's very animated on the mound, does not hide anything. Look at his reaction. See Castillo pointing down to Alfonso. Good decision to go home.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Leiter with the bases loaded, working from the stretch. And that's chopped foul. So now Leiter a strike away from getting out of big-time trouble. With Varitek at third, Lewis going back to second, and Valentin to first. And he has eaten up the opposition in these situations. Just off the disabled list after having a shoulder sprain. It'll be a 1-2 pitch. Got him! High heat from Leiter, and Garcia Parra is gone.
Might be the biggest out of the game, and this ball game's all over.
Well, Leiter muscled up in the third, striking out 2. Garcia Parra goes down with the bases loaded. Still 3-0 New York. Well, Al Leiter just worked out of some hot water in the last of the third inning. A couple of strikeouts, including Garcia Parra with the bases loaded and 2 men away. So we go to the 4th inning with Leiter and the Mets leading the Red Sox 3-0.
2 left-handers right there.
Number 15, the designated hitter.
You see Al Leiter talking to Alberto Castillo, talking about catching the ball and the target. He's had some very animated conversations with Castillo over the course of this season.
And again, if you're just tuning in, Castillo catching because Mike Piazza left the game after being hit on the hand in the first inning by Pedro Martinez. So we go to the 4th, 3-0 New York, and here's Fran Healy.
All right, Howie. Matt Franco leads it off. He struck out in the 2nd inning. And he pops up the first pitch from Pedro Martinez down the left field line. Bragg goes over and makes the grab. Not very much room, but Bragg was able to glove it. 1 down. And that'll bring to the plate Butch Husky. Husky walked his first time up back in the 2nd inning.
Number 42, the right fielder.
Batting .243. He has 44 hits and he's driven in 32 runs. And when you're big and strong like Butch Husky and you can hit a home run, you're going to like Fenway Park. Fastball outside to Butch Husky. 1-0. And the 1-0 pitch, changeup. Husky pops it up, foul territory. Vaughn giving chase. And he runs out of room. Maybe unnecessarily ended up on a tarp.
I think he was looking for some groceries. He'll pass on the soda.
What do you mean by groceries?
Well, looks like he's doing some shopping here. Now he knows he's not going to get this, so he'll climb the tarp and take inventory. Got a Coke, 7-Up, some beer, no peanuts. So he's back to work. Actually, that was a Pepsi down there.
And the 1-1 pitch to Husky. Checks his swing. Loops the ball in the center field base hit. So Husky with his first hit of the game.
Let's lead this game partially because of the long ball. Castillo on an 0-2 pitch launches one into the screen. That made it 2-0 in the third. Then Olerud, a flat fastball, and he launched it towards the right field bullpen.
So Olerud with 2 hits in his game, a single and a home run. And now Pedro Martinez will take on Luis Lopez, who hit into a 4-6-3 double play in the 2nd inning. And the ball's thrown away. Husky on his way to second base. As Benjamin goes over and picks it up, Husky will hold his ground at second. And a break for the Mets. So Butch Husky now in scoring position for Lopez.
Well, Husky on his way back to the bag, but a poor throw by Martinez, who threw it well to the right side of Mo Vaughn. Not a first baseman or left-handed first baseman, meaning, of course, they wear the glove on the right hand. But here Vaughn had to reach across his body and had no chance to come up with what looked like a slider that Martinez threw on a pickoff play.
So it's 3-0. The Mets on top of the Red Sox. We're in the 4th inning at Fenway Park in Boston. Interleague play. Luis Lopez takes a strike.
That pickoff throw had a lot of movement on it.
He has a good quick move to first base. I bet he might catch Mo Vaughn sleeping a couple times during the course of the season. It's 0-1 on Lopez. Husky leading off second base. Fastball down and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. And you talk about this ballpark, and for years, Howie, you'd hear so-and-so's got an ideal swing for Fenway Park. I'm not sure who had a real good swing for Fenway Park. It usually was a right-hander to hit a lot of home runs. Outside to Lopez, 2-1.
I'll tell you what, Bernard Gilkey was out here early this afternoon, and we've shown you so often over the years how his eyes just have a habit of almost popping out of his head just as the pitch is about to get into the hitting zone. They did about the same thing when he came here.
Look at the eyes.
Thanks, Gilt. That's right on target, right on cue. And they did the same thing when he looked out to that monster out there.
And Lopez drives the ball to deep right field. Lewis in pursuit. Home run! Luis Lopez, a two-run shot, and the Mets lead the Red Sox 5-0.
Well, Martinez has to be thinking, all right, Olaru's one thing. Castillo he couldn't believe. And turning on what looked like, at least from that angle, another flat fastball was Luis Lopez. Remember the ball that he threw Olaru for the home run had no life on it.
And McRae fouls the ball off. Strike one on Brian McRae. Mets lead 5-0. 7 hits in his game off Pedro Martinez.
Ball just hung around the knees. And Lopez drilled it. He wasn't thinking home run until he rounded first base.
And McRae takes the ball, so it's 1-1.
You know, the professional home run hitters, they know when they've got one, and they go into their trot. Lopez he couldn't believe it until he got across the bag at first base. And he didn't exactly take the Cadillac trot around the bases either.
So it's been Lopez, Castillo, and Olaru. 1-2 pitch to McRae, up high. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
The thing with Martinez, though, tonight is that at times he has blown his fastball by hitters. He went up to Carlos Baerga, overpowered him in the first inning, striking him out swinging.
Up and in to McRae, 3-2.
Got McRae swinging last time.
And the 3-2 pitch, ground ball to third. Valentin to Vaughn. 2 down.
Maybe the Mets are changing everything this year. Remember last year they went into Detroit, played 3 games at Tiger Stadium, gave up 14 home runs and didn't hit one. Well, they wound up closing the gap on the American League, largely because of what they did to Toronto late in the season. And the American League teams ended up winning 1 more than the Mets did during Interleague a year ago. Right here, they have launched 3 home runs off of Pedro Martinez.
And Bernard Gilkey takes outside ball 1. He's 1 for 2 in his ball game. He doubled in the first inning and came around to score the first run, scoring on a single off the bat of John Olaru. And he hits a drive left field. Bragg looks up. Gone! Home run, Bernard Gilkey. The Mets are on fire tonight.
Coming into this game, Pedro Martinez had allowed 7 home runs in 85 2/3 innings. The Mets have now hit 4 in the last 2 innings. Bernard Gilkey, the latest, no question about this one either, as it's high atop the screen, about halfway up. And again, a ball that just runs middle of the plate in, about knee high. And Pedro's getting a little tired of seeing this at.
Now Castillo's the batter. It's on top of it. Valentin gloves it. The flip to first. That'll do it for the Mets. But they pick up 3 runs in this inning. It's
that way when Matt Lachlan grabbed him.
Batting for the Red Sox.
How have you done against Vaughn?
I don't know. You guys are jinxing me.
Come on, you know.
Oh, tell me a number.
I don't know what the number is.
I don't know.
Everybody
He's a
knows
tough
what they
hitter.
do against him.
Major league hitters are fine hitters, and every hitter I respect immensely, and he's a tough out.
That's right out of the cliche school, and Leiter knew it. He was just having fun with Matty. Al Leiter against Mo Vaughn coming into this game 5 for 19. At least Vaughn was 5 for 19 against him with 1 home run. And then Vaughn singled leading off the second inning.
So he's 6 for 20 and he steps in. Tries a ball deep right field. Husky looks up. Home run, Mo Vaughn. So Al Leiter said he's a good quality hitter.
Well, Al Leiter just seconds ago in a conversation taped 2 days ago, and Matt Lachlan said, "What are you trying to jinx me?" And I guess we figured it out. Matty was, and he did. And this is how he jinxed him. Mo Vaughn jumping on high heat from Leiter and launching it into the right field stands.
It's now 6-1. Mets on top of the Red Sox. Jim Leyritz steps in and takes the ball.
Vaughn goes up to get it and got it.
You know, that surprises me that he would catch up with that fastball that high in the strike zone. Castillo's trying to calm Leiter down now. I think a lot of the trips to the mound, as you look at Mo Vaughn in the Red Sox dugout, are overrated. But when you go to the mound after a home run, you can get that pitcher to refocus. That's the best time to go to the mound. He's lost his concentration because of that home run. It's now 3-0. Wow.
That ball up the bat a little bit, huh? I mean, it's pretty blurry here at this point, but you see where he's making contact with it. We are having telestrator problems. Jim Leyritz draws a walk. Bob Apodaca could care less about the telestrator. His concerns about Al Leiter. But what we tried to show you was just how powerful Vaughn is, that he's able to get a ball up the bat like that. Couldn't tell you because of that blur if it was much higher than the sweet spot, but the way Vaughn launched it certainly appeared that he got the sweet spot of the bat on it.
You don't see too many home runs hit on pitches that high in the strike zone. Right now the batter Damon Buford, and Buford, his first time up, fly to left field. So Leyritz on first base, and Buford pops the ball up, foul territory. Alfonso calling for it and makes the grab. One out here in the fourth for the Red Sox. Buford carrying that bat back to the dugout. That's a long walk here in Boston, Howie.
Yeah, both dugouts a long way from home plate. A lot longer when you pop up or strike out.
Oh.
Get in there pretty quickly with those home run trots. The Mets have proven tonight, and Vaughn did in this inning.
Batter Mike Benjamin hits the third. Alfonso to second for one, over to first. Double play. So that'll do it for the Red Sox. But they pick up one run on a solo home run off the bat of Mo Vaughn, and after 4, it's 6-1 Mets.
The Devils fans, don't make any plans on Saturday, June 27th, because you could attend the official New Jersey Devils 1998 Draft Day party presented by Fox Sports New York at the Pegasus Restaurant east atop the Meadowlands Racetrack. Join Devils radio announcers Mike Miller and Randy Belichick and the Devils mascot for a fun-filled day of interactive games, giveaways, and much more. The event is open to all fans free of charge. For more information on the Devils 1998 Draft Day party, call 201-935-6050. So much for Pedro Martinez. Left-hander Brian Barkley will get some work out of the bullpen as the Mets hit 4 home runs in 4 innings, all of them coming in the last 2 against Pedro Martinez, have a 7-1 lead as we go to the 5th.
And Barkley was recalled from AAA Pawtucket June 28th. Pitched in Trenton, New Jersey last year, and he'll face John Olerud, and Olerud takes a fastball for a strike. 6-1, the Mets on top of the Red Sox. We're in the top of the 5th inning at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. Out of the strike zone. One and one on John Olerud. He'll be followed by Carlos Baerga and then Edgardo Alfonso. Breaking ball for a strike. 1 and 2. Talking about that Trenton Ball Club, Nomar Garcia Parra played minor league ball there. They're going to retire his number as you look at Carlos Baerga. How about that? A minor league team retiring Nomar Garcia Parra's number in Trenton, New Jersey. Olerud pops the ball up. Shallow center field. Buford coming in, but Bragg, the left fielder, makes the grab.
Well, the Mets have gone long ball 4 times tonight. And as we think back once again to 1986, Gary Carter went deep more than once in Game 4.
Swung on, hit high in the air, deep to left field, way back at the wall. Goodbye, home run. Delivery, Carter hits it high and deep. Say goodbye, home run.
2 homers from Carter. The Mets win in Game 4 to even the series.
And the batter now, Carlos Baerga. Baerga takes a strike. In this ball game, he struck out his first time up, and he singled to center field in the 3rd. Batting both times from the left side of the plate, so he turns around to face Brian Barkley. And there's a strike to Baerga. 0-2. The good news is Barkley has a shot at pitching in the big leagues. The bad news, a left-hander in Boston fouled off. How many left-handed pitchers have enjoyed success pitching for the Red Sox? Mel Parnell comes to mind.
Well, he's been showing you the '86 World Series highlights, and Bruce Hurst had a couple of real good years here.
Bruce Hurst, Bill Lee.
Affectionately known as the Spaceman. At least affectionately by Red Sox fans.
The 0-2 pitch to Baerga's outside.
I don't think Don Zimmer had much affection for him. What Lee call him? The gerbil?
Yeah, and Don Zimmer did a fine job managing the Red Sox for a number of years. Tough place to manage. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball center field. Buford drifts over, makes the grab. 2 down.
This copyrighted telecast is authorized under television rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and Fox Sports New York is prohibited.
Edgardo Alfonzo steps in with 2 out here in the top of the 5th inning. Mets leading 6-1. Another left-hander that comes to mind, Howie.
Well, John Tudor had his best years with the St. Louis Cardinals, but was an effective pitcher up here at Fenway before going to St. Louis.
0-1 pitch to Alfonzo. Outside. 1-1. Alfonzo 0 for 2 in this game. This is the first of a 3-game series here in Boston. Swung on and missed. 1-2 on Edgardo Alfonzo.
Brian Barkley throwing what looks like a changeup in the dirt that Alfonso swings through.
And the 1-2 pitch. Fouled back. So the count remains 1-2 on Alfonso.
He's getting his first look at Barkley. Matt Franco waiting on deck. Kid Barkley, you talk about playing in Trenton last year. People should realize that's Double-A ball. He's only a year removed from being a Double-A pitcher.
And he just struck out Alfonso, so the Mets go quietly 1-2-3 here in the top of the 5th. But it's been all Mets so far except for a home run off the bat of Mo Vaughn. It's 6-1 Mets, and we'll be back.
Docs. Now let's take a look at our Aflac trivia question. That's Smokey Joe Wood to you, huh? Wonder if the guy with the second best winning percentage also hit about 700, not about, but 714 home runs. That's my guess, and I'm standing by it.
The big fella.
That's right. The Bambino not named Alberto Castillo.
Jason Varitek is the batter. Facing Al Leiter in the bottom of the 5th inning, and he takes a strike. So it's 1-1 on Varitek. Leiter made only one bad pitch so far, and gave up a long home run to Mo Vaughn on a high fastball. Throws the curveball to Varitek, and he fouls it off. 1-1 on Varitek. Anybody that's ever grew up here in the New England area had the dream of playing for this organization.
Especially you, right? Come on, you told me you played here, or you had a tryout here or something as a 15-year-old.
Well, no, it was a high school game. I mean, that was a big thrill. I mean, I was from the western part of the state. Didn't get to Boston very often. I had a chance to play here at Fenway Park in the Hearst All-Star game. Hearst newspaper sponsored that. Up high to Varitek. 3-2 on the Red Sox catcher. Boston, Massachusetts.
Landscape behind the wall's been the same probably since 1918, huh?
Veritek fouls it off.
1912, when this building opened, those buildings looked like they might just about be 86 years old.
The fans love their Red Sox here in Boston, but it wasn't always like that. Prior to 1967, the Red Sox weren't a big draw. After 67, they became a huge draw. Ground ball is short. Luis Lopez over to Olerud. 1 down.
Well, remember the Friday night free admissions deal the Mets have with Pepsi at Shea Stadium. Into the Pepsi picnic area go the first 600 fans with a Pepsi can or bottle free on Friday nights. Every Friday night this season, the Mets are home with the exception of June 26th. And the Friday night action continues on June 19th. The Mets play the Florida Marlins.
Darren Bragg takes a ball from Al Leiter. Leiter with a 5-run lead. It looks like he has his good stuff tonight. Breaking ball misses. 2-0. Well, you have a 5-run lead. You want to get ahead and stay ahead. Ground ball to first. Olerud gloves it. Takes it himself. 2 down. Leiter allowing his defense to help out. So Bragg back in the dugout, and Leiter now will take on Darren Lewis.
Nice play on an in-between hop here by John Olerud. An easy play at first base to get Bragg, but a good pick by Olerud.
Darren Lewis has walked twice in this game. Leiter has only walked 3 batters. Lewis twice and Jim Leyritz. Didn't mess around there. Threw him a hard fastball inside. You pull that fastball, you're going to pull it foul. Leiter's one of the few left-handers that lives inside. Up high to Lewis. 1-1. He lives inside on right-handed hitters.
He's been effective based on that low earned run average, lowest in the National League.
Now he changes up. Now that's a pitch he didn't feature last year on a consistent basis. It's 1-2 on Darren Lewis.
That is 1.74 ERAs. You look at Bob Apodaca, like seeing that off-speed stuff. Lowest by a Mets pitcher 10 starts into a season since David Cohn 10 years ago. Cohn was at 1.38 after his first 10 starts in 1988. It's the year David won 20 and lost 3. And now Leiter, actually among 3 Met pitchers in the top 7. You don't see Rick Reed there. He would fit 2 below Ashby.
Inside to Lewis. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Big crowd on hand, but very, very quiet now. The Red Sox are losing by 5. Bouncer to Olerud, so the Red Sox go quietly here in the bottom of the 5th, and after 5 complete at Fenway, the boys from New York have a commanding lead.
Let me tell you something about heroes. They ain't like you and me. Look at Griffey, the way he taps the spikes and grows the tee, punches the glove and flips the lid, ties the hat, eats the dirt, and twirls the lumber, warms it up and works the crowd. The way he holds the pose, slams the wall, anticipates, and always thanks his mother. Let me tell you about guys like him. They ain't just playing stick.
This is Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. with Reality Bat for Infinite Swings. It's only on N64, only on Nintendo Sports.
And here comes Real Quiet, pouring it on with Kent DeSormo. Yes, Real Quiet wins the Kentucky Derby. Here we are in the Preakness with Real Quiet on the outside, boldly moving up just like he did in the Derby. Yes, Real Quiet does it again. The Derby winner gets the Preakness. Could it be we'll see our first Triple Crown winner in 20 years? I'll see you at the Belmont. Go, baby, go!
Living out with my baby can't be bad because it feels so good. Never felt quite so sunny, and I keep on knocking wood. Stepping out with my baby can't go wrong because I'm in right. for maybe, and I'm all dressed up tonight.
As a business traveler, join National's Emerald Club and you can bypass the counter, choose your own car, and get on the road fast. So what are you waiting for? Let's go. National Car Rental.
Sixth inning here at Fenway Park, so it's the Coors Light Silver Bullet sixth. And Roseanne Guarino from New York is today's lucky fan. So if the Mets hit a home run this inning, Roseanne gets dinner for two at a participating Applebee's. Matt Franco leads off, takes ball one from Brian Barkley. Franco batting against a left-hander as the DH for the first time tonight, as the Mets chased Pedro Martinez with kind of long balls that Roseanne Guarino is hoping the Mets still have in their arsenal, at least here in this sixth inning. Franco struck out, flied out to left. And a breaking ball. 1-2 on Matt Franco. Matt does not get a whole lot of opportunities to hit against left-hand pitching. He takes downstairs for ball one. In fact, this is the first at bat that he's had against Southpaws this year. With a 5-run lead, Bobby Valentine certainly not wanting to waste a player. Remember, Mike Piazza's out of the game, so he's already inserted his second catcher. And Franco hits it deep to right field. Lewis with a warning track. And there's one man away. Mookie Wilson in Boston. Of course, it took place in New York, but he was an integral part of the most famous at-bat in Mets history.
The pitch gets away, gets away. Here comes Mitchell. Here comes Mitchell.
And there was more where that came from. Husky fouls it off.
A lot of people felt that Stanley had a problem throwing that ball. Rich Gedman was a good receiver. Should have caught that ball.
All of New England felt the same way that winter.
Yeah, Rich Gedman should have caught the ball, and he was a good, solid catcher.
Ooh. And Husky is hit. Now remember, Brian Barkley's not the guy who hit Piazza. If you are just tuning in, can't say that often enough when something significant in terms of an injury has happened. Mike Piazza was hit by Pedro Martinez on the hand in the first inning. Piazza left the game, and they're doing x-rays.
They went inside with a fastball, and the southpaw wanted to get it way inside. I don't blame him pitching inside, and he doesn't throw real hard, but Barkley got it too far in and hit Husky right in the thigh. Well, no way you can get out of the way of that ball. In fact, if you want to hit a batter when you're throwing at him, that's where to throw it.
So Luis Lopez, who hit his 6th major league home run his last time up, takes a strike, 0-1. Lopez grounded into a double play to end the second inning before hitting his 2nd home run as a Met. And Lopez breaks his bat on a foul ball.
And that's his gamer. He hit a home run in this game with that bat.
Yeah, but he's using Fonzie's bat, huh? That was a great shot. That was Edgardo Alfonso's bat.
Well, you know, famous.
It just snapped. Well, you know the rest of the story with Mookie Wilson, but make up your own mind here. Would he have beat Stanley to the bag?
And the pitch by Stanley at a ground ball, trickling. It is a fair ball. Hit by Buckner. Rounding third base. The Mets will win the ball game. The Mets win.
Mookie will say yes, absolutely.
Mookie felt he would beat Buckner or Stanley to first base.
Well, Buckner would have had no shot. He was out there on gimpy knees, and to this day, people in Boston blame then manager John McNamara for not having taken him out for defense going to the bottom of the 10th inning. But Mookie swears he's going to beat Stanley to the bag, and he probably would have. Bob Stanley caught more of a lumbering type physique. Mookie running from the left side. One of the faster players in the league in those days. Probably wins that foot race hands down. Although Stanley did get a good break off the pitcher's mound, but that was then, almost 12 years ago. Now it's 6-1 New York. And Lopez hits it in the air to right field. Husky halfway. And he'll stroll back to first. 2 men away in the 6th.
We saw Lopez break his bat before, but it was really Edgardo Alfonzo's bat. He went back into the dugout, picked up a new bat. You got to wonder if this is another Alfonzo bat. He pops this ball up, and an easy out.
So 2 gone. Brian McRae, who's hitless tonight, will turn around and bat from the right side for the first time. 217 right-hand hitter. 246 coming in from the left side, and they've got Husky picked off, but Vaughn drops the ball.
Now that's going to go as a stolen base. So when you look at the box score tomorrow, it's an SB, and they hold that against the catcher. He wasn't even involved. Look at this. Good move by Husky. Run right towards the infielder. As big as Husky is, he can block Vaughn's view of the infielder and maybe take it in the back of the stolen base.
You'd find a way to take it personally. So Husky in scoring position for Brian McRae. And the off-speed pitch misses outside. McRae played here often. He's a member of the Kansas City Royals. Here's Husky measuring a short lead from second. And the change. 1-1 on McRae. Brian Barkley, 22 years old, from Conroe, Texas. Red Sox drafted him 4 years ago. As we mentioned before, just had some AAA experience this year after playing all of last year in AA. And whether it's expansion or any other number of factors, more pitchers go directly. And in Barkley's case, it wasn't directly, but it seems that more pitchers go from AA directly to the majors today than ever before. McRae's like hitting here, and he lines one to left. Bragg coming on, and he makes the catch. Nice play by Darren Bragg, and the side retired. No runs, no hits. A hit batsman, and a nice play. Goes after John Valentin, Nomar Garcia-Parra, and Mo Vaughn. Here in the Red Sox 6th, and the Jeep Eagle game summary, all Mets, at least most of it.
How about Castillo with the home run and all the root? Lopez a home run. Gilkey, Vaughn, Piazza probably would have hit one, but he's getting x-rays.
Yeah, but that bottom notation there, really as important, if not more so than anything, because you've got to have vision and see this thing long term. And if Piazza's going to miss any length of time, obviously that's more injurious to the Mets than a win would be to their benefit tonight. 1-1 on Valentin.
And the news before the game here was the arrival of Hideo Nomo.
He will pitch on Tuesday night against the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Interesting to see the support that Nomo gets at Shea Stadium right off the bat. Valentin fouls it off. You know, you've got a tremendous Asian American population in the Flushing area, the immediate vicinity of Shea Stadium, but all throughout the tri-state area. You think back to last year when Chan Ho Park pitched for the Dodgers at Shea Stadium. How emotional situation that was as Valentin goes down on strikes. One out here in the 6th inning. A lot of Korean American fans came out to Shea Stadium and flags were waving.
And pitched the old fastball right by Valentin out of the strike zone. A lot of talk tonight was, as you look at that last pitch again, will Nomo and Arabu square off in the series between the Yankees and the Mets?
That's 3 weeks from this weekend at Shea Stadium. Nomar Garcia-Parra had what to this point has to be considered the pivotal at-bat of this game from a Red Sox standpoint. They were down 3-0. Garcia-Parra, the batter, with 2 outs and the bases loaded in the 3rd inning, and Leiter struck him out. And that's after Garciaparra ended the first inning by grounding into a double play.
That's going to be the biggest out of the ball game if the Mets go on and win this game. Getting their best hitter to strike out with the bases full.
Upstairs, 3-0.
And a good clutch hitter.
Contusion, left hand. X-rays negative on Piazza. He is day to day. That is good news. The fact that the X-rays were negative. 3 balls, 1 strike to Nomar Garciaparra.
Jay loves that word.
Contusion.
Yes.
Practicing before he came into the booth, but full count now to Garciaparra. The way that Piazza took that pitch on the hand from Nomo. We'll see Nomo on Tuesday. From Martinez. You just worry about broken bones there, and thankfully there are none. Walk to Garciaparra. That's the 4th walk issued by Al Leiter. Mo Vaughn coming up. A big story tonight. Hideo Nomo, now a New York Met. That's GM Steve Phillips explained before the game why he made the deal.
I think that, getting somebody of Hideo Nomo's caliber to add him to your pitching staff, your starting rotation, for us, it really has filled out that rotation where every day we know what we can get out of our starter, and we had to give up some pitching, and obviously Dave Malicki and Greg McMichael have helped us to this point, but we think we have enough depth in the bullpen to cover ourselves. Getting Brad Klontz back helped quite a bit as well, and we think we're a better pitching staff right now.
Mo Vaughn, the batter, 1-0. But I had an interesting talk after that interview with Steve Phillips about what input Mike Piazza might have had in the Nomo deal. Inside to Vaughn, 2-0, and he said they did not tell Piazza while the deal was being constructed as a matter of policy. Take a look at what Nomo has done. Now you can be cynical or skeptical and note that the numbers have declined, the earned run average numbers, each of his 4 years now in the major leagues. But I asked Steve Phillips, well, why not bring Piazza into the loop, because he caught him, and he caught him recently. And he said, well, we don't want to give one of our players, the information that, we might be going after this guy, because then the question's going to be, well, who are you going to give up for him? And didn't want to get into any information possibly leaking out under the circumstances with a lot of teams in the running for him. But just as a matter of policy, he figures, listen, Dave Wallace is here. Wallace knows him better than anyone, having been his pitching coach since Nomo came to the major leagues. And that their scouts had an even more recent feel for Nomo as opposed to Piazza, who last caught him a few weeks ago. So he figured they wouldn't bother dealing with Piazza on the possibility of a Nomo trade. Olerud to second. That's 1, and the Mets have turned another double play. That's 4. 6 innings in the books here at Fenway, and 4 of them have featured a Mets double play. Olerud starts it and finishes.
When Tampa Bay makes its first visit to Shea, the Mets sting the Devil Rays, and Fox Sports New York has it Monday at 7:30.
Bernard Gilkey has a home run in this game as he takes a strike on the outside corner from Brian Barkley, starting the 7th. Gilkey 2 for 3, including his 3rd home run. That's outside. His home run, the 4th and final one off of Pedro Martinez tonight. That's leading 6-1 here in the 7th. Trying to break a 3-game losing streak when they totally stopped hitting. But Gilkey keeps hitting. His 3rd hit of the night as he finds the hole between short and third. The Mets have their 9th hit of the ball game. So, Fran, let's revisit that Aflac trivia question. Who ranks
30,
second? I'm going with George Herman Ruth.
Alberto
Could be wrong.
Well, he had a great career pitching here. There it is, the big fella, Babe Ruth. Great career pitching here in Boston. And they say it's the Ruth jinx here in Boston. One of the reasons the Red Sox have never won a World Championship since the Babe left.
Castillo, with the 3rd baseman Valentin playing back, drops a bunt down. So he's not enamored of his home run power as one might think.
We've seen him do that before, where he tries to lay down a bunt. He did it in San Francisco, and when he failed to bunt the ball, that was an at-bat when he hit the home run.
So the X-ray's negative on Piazza. He's day-to-day. In fact, Bobby Valentine was talking in Pittsburgh about resting Piazza one of the games against the Pirates. Piazza played all three, but also was thinking about DHing Piazza at least part of the time here in Boston.
Here in Boston, the media surrounded Piazza too. Everybody wanted to talk to him, not only about Nomo, but about the trade coming to the Mets. And Mike has told me repeatedly he loves it here in New York. He hopes everything works out where he's here for a long time. Mets will be loaded if he stays in New York. Todd Hundley healthy. We'll have some thunder in the middle of that lineup.
Outside, 2-1 to Castino. Just told you about one Bambino. Here's what the other one can do, right? Or we'll show you eventually what the other one can do, because Alberto Castillo is nicknamed Bambino by his Mets teammates. Gilkey leads from first. Inside.
And it's our Coors Light play of the day. The Bambino. 1998 hits a home run into the screen here at Fenway Park. And what's he do? Later on in the ball game, tries to bunt for a base hit.
3-1 to Castillo. Now the count's full. Well, Kirk Reeder's a nice enough guy. Pretty decent pitcher. But it looks a little bit better on your power hitting resume to have taken Pedro Martinez deep as opposed to Kirk Reeder. Reeder, the pitcher for the Giants, against whom Castillo homered for his first major league big fly, as the players like to call it. Olerud has hit one tonight off of Martinez as well. He's waiting on deck.
Well, watching Martinez throw tonight, and I talked to Dan Duquette, the general manager of the Red Sox, before the game. They were concerned that viral infection and the loss of weight hurt him a little bit as far as his velocity is concerned, but they feel he's coming back now. But tonight's been a bad night for Martinez. By the way, I asked Dan Duquette if the Red Sox inquired about Hideo Noma. He said absolutely, but the Dodgers wanted pitching in return, and the Red Sox couldn't do it. So there was a lot of interest in Hideo Noma.
Jimmy Williams was supposedly somewhat less desirous of Hideo Nomo than Dan Duquette was. Williams thinking, hey, wait a minute, we got a pretty good thing going here right now. This guy's been hit hard occasionally this year. His numbers, as we showed you before, are not what they were. He was kind of hesitant about it. And now on the delayed steal doesn't matter, because ball 4, actually not even a delayed steal on the 3-2 pitch. Gilkey took that rather leisurely jaunt from first, as opposed to a base stealer's break from the bag.
There's Dan Duquette, Amherst College. He was Jeff Reardon's catcher. He grew up in Western Massachusetts, and along with Jeff Reardon, played high school baseball in the western part of the state, and he was Reardon's catcher. He should take the credit for a brilliant major league career for Jeff Reardon.
And Joe Kerrigan now trying to straighten out the rookie left-hander Brian Barkley, who's in his 3rd inning of work.
Two real good general managers here at this ballpark tonight, and young general managers. Steve Phillips with the Mets, who's been wheeling and dealing.
Number 5,
Dan Duquette with the Red Sox.
Each of whom have been criticized by their team's fans. John Wasden gets set in the bullpen because of their inexperience. Fans felt, well, they weren't able to pull the trigger on big deals. And of course, Steve Phillips pulled the trigger on one last year with the Cubs. Didn't work out for the Mets last year, but it's worked well for them this year. Certainly better than it has a year ago anyway. And Duquette was hearing some of the same stuff as John Olerud takes inside from Brian Barkley. Olerud singled in a run off of Martinez in the first as Gilkey leads from second and Castillo from first. And Olerud hit his 6th home run of the year in the 3rd inning off of Pedro Martinez. One ball, one strike now, and John Olerud has done that all year.
Once again, he has that real high batting average coming into tonight's action. And he told me a few years back when he was flirting with the 400 mark when he got into August,
In the hole, base hit for Olerud. Here comes Gilkey around third. Lewis up with the ball. His throw going to third. Castillo in safely. Olerud on first with an RBI single, and the Mets are leading 7-1.
3 RBIs in tonight's ball game. 3 hits for John Olerud. 3 RBIs, and again against a left-hand, good swing. Absolutely perfect swing by John Olerud. Hits the ball in the hole and drives in his 3rd run of the game.
Number 8, the second baseman, Carlos Baerga.
Olerud, who came into this game leading the National League in hitting, now 3 for 4.
I was saying that in August that year when he was flirting with 400, he felt for a moment that he could accomplish the feat.
Carlos Baerga turns around and hits from the right side, and he hits it hard into right center. Castillo scores. Olerud on his way to third. Baerga will hold with an RBI single, and it's 8-1 New York.
Baerga with 2 hits in this game, and he's picked up an RBI. First game of a 3-game series here in Boston, and the Mets have come out with their bats ablazing. They got beat 3 straight in Pittsburgh, and this is a new ball club here at Fenway Park. Carlos Baerga, his 2nd hit of the game, a single to right field.
I know we've said it before over this last stretch from Baerga, but
good swing.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good pitch. Right out there. That's a good pitch.
And we've heard hitting instructors talk about that front foot too. You see Baerga's front foot pointed right towards the pitcher, right towards second base, not pulling off as he was last year from the right side.
Well, and we've said it a million times. When that ball this year hits his bat, the barrel of his bat, the ball explodes off the bat. And Bobby Valentine deserves a lot of credit for being patient with Carlos Baerga. So the Mets swinging some hot lumber here at Fenway Park.
John Wasden answers the omnipoint call to the bullpen. Mets with 8 runs, 11 hits, and they're on their way, leading the Red Sox 8-1 tonight at Fenway.
Like a
Tri-State GMC dealer. Mets have 2 in here in the top of the 7th, and now John Wasden comes out of the bullpen to replace Brian Barkley. And Wasden had some egg on his face yesterday because he was sent down to Pawtucket a couple of days ago, and then Dennis Eckersley went on the DL yesterday, had a problem with his right shoulder, and so Eckersley goes on the DL, and Wasden had really voiced some displeasure with Red Sox management after being sent down. Damon Buford came back off the DL, and he figured a position player was going to go down, but turned out they wanted Wasden to go to Pawtucket, and he never quite got out of town. He had some pretty harsh things to say, which found their way into the newspaper yesterday. And
did you say, I take it back?
Well, no. Eckersley told him, now don't try that misquoted routine. 1 ball, 1 strike to Edgardo Alfonso. I mean, he was basically giving it the old Ralph Cramden, humana, Mr. Duquette. I didn't really mean it. Fonzie twice has ended innings bouncing into a fielder's choice, a 3rd time by striking out. On the inside corner. 1-2 to Alfonso. It's Olerud at 3rd and Baerga at 1st. John Wasden came here with a deal that sent Jose Canseco back to Oakland.
Canseco red hot this year swinging the bat.
Inside to Alfonso, 2-2.
You mentioned Dan Duquette. Well, his cousin Jim Duquette is director of player personnel for the New York Mets. Does a fine job working with Steve Phillips.
It'll be a 2-2 pitch to Alfonso, and he hits it the other way. In comes Lewis. Tagging is Olerud. Down the line comes Olerud. Play at the plate, but he's safe.
That great speed again. We saw Olerud with the good speed in Pittsburgh steal a base. And Alfonso just picked up an RBI because of Olerud's speed. Alfonso hitting a fly ball to right field. And a strong throw from Lewis. Veritek with the left foot in front of the plate, but Olerud with that good speed and good momentum He moves that foot. Now you see Olerud tagging up. He said, ha, piece of cake. And he's off and running. And he runs, and he runs, and he slides. So John Olerud on this road trip trying to show Bobby Valentine that he should have the green light.
So the Mets with 3 in this inning now have a 9-1 lead as Matt Franco takes strike 1. Stolen base in Pittsburgh took everybody by surprise.
Even John
could not suppress a laugh when he got to second base. Franco fouls it away. 1 ball. Pardon me, no balls, 2 strikes. And in the last year, John Olerud went the whole year without a stolen base. And Mookie Wilson, the first base coach for the Mets, also in charge of the base runners here, and has trained them all about reading pitchers, and taking leads, and improving their stolen base capacities. Mookie said, listen, I didn't get you one last year, but I'll get you one this year.
And we've been kidding about John Olerud stealing that base, but every now and then, if he could do that in a key spot and make it really important and come around to score.
Of course, they weren't holding him on the other night.
But you can still do it. You don't have to have blazing speed. It's the element of surprise. A lot of times a pitcher's on the mound, he figures this guy's going no place, so I'm not even going to concentrate on him. And you can steal a key base, get in scoring position, and score a huge run for your ball club.
And the 1-2 pitch to Franco off the outer edge. So John Wasden had some explaining to do. Didn't actually even get out of Boston. Never did make it to Pawtucket. Jimmy Williams giving him some more work, albeit at this point in a mop-up role. Franco is down on strikes. 2 outs now in the 7th. First strikeout for Wasden.
Wasden throwing, that's good location right there. He gets that pitch and sneaks it past Matt Franco. Bobby trying to keep Matt Franco fine with that bat because he proved how important he was last year coming off the bench. And one thing Bobby Valentine will do for his pinch hitters, he'll get them playing time.
Husky fouls it straight back. Butch has walked, single, came around to score in the 4th inning, and been hit by a pitch. That's Baerga. He singled in a run. Did that batting right-handed. Carlos now 2 for 4. Hits from each side of the plate tonight. Husky's had the home run touch over the last week with home runs in 3 of his last 5 games.
But he wants to hit one here. He wants to go over the green monster.
I figured if Castillo could do it, then he's going for a shot at it. But he fouls it back, 1-2.
And Husky got a pitch that he could drive and fouled it back. Castillo did it. He said, Butch, I'll work with you later on. Husky, 26 years old, with a lot of talent, made himself into a decent right fielder. Remember, they used to take him out for defensive purposes. Now they think he gets the best jump on the ball of all the outfielders.
Foul tip held by Varitek. So the side retired as Wasden settles things down coming out of the bullpen, just as Turk Windle will do for New York with a big Mets lead. So Al Leiter comes out of the ball game, and Turk Windle will come on. And his first pitch inside to Jim Leyritz.
This has to be a big thrill for Turk Windle because he grew up in Western Massachusetts.
Fastball for a strike, 1-1. Windle making his 15th appearance. Last work in the Pittsburgh series. That was in Monday's game. Got 2 innings of work there.
He was entertaining Peter Gammons prior to the game, kicking a baseball up onto the green monster.
We saw him punting a football in Pittsburgh the other day. And the slider gets Leyritz.
You know, if you're from New England and you were a hitter and you played any baseball whatsoever, your biggest dream was to do this with a baseball. Right up and over the green monster and into the net. Now, it's not a dream for Turk Wendell. He wants to keep it away from the green monster.
Come on, you know what? You're begging me to ask for details here. You grew up in New England, in Holyoke, or however you guys pronounce it.
It was everybody's dream.
Mispronounce your own town. Come on now, and take me chapter and verse through whatever home run you might have hit in this ballpark.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Didn't hit one? How about BP?
BP, I hammered the ball.
Come on, tell me about the BP pitch. Remember where they throw batting practice from now.
I'm still looking for that dream to hit that ball up into the net. And I don't want to hear from the truck either.
2 balls, 2 strikes now on Damon Buford. Now, you must have hit a home run during batting practice.
Well, yeah, BP, I had it down to perfection. The game was different. They had that curveball and slider. I tried to outlaw it.
The small detail. In the air, right field. Husky turned the wrong way, but recovers.
I talked about Husky's defensive ability, and he's really improved as a defensive player, chasing that ball down.
All right, now, here's your rubber.
Let me work it.
Here's your rubber. No, it's a 2-pronged thing. You see, the front part of it, that's where they throw batting practice from. The idea is that the pitcher who throws batting practice is on the edge of the mound. Right now, it's 60 feet 6 inches from the rubber.
And keep in mind, I used to face Yogi, who couldn't reach home plate.
Oh, wait a minute, but that's, what, about 45 feet from home plate?
Mm-hmm.
And it still gave you problems during BP, huh?
Absolutely. That telestrator just gave you a problem.
Inexperienced. Supposed to be for the analyst. Just once, I figure, all right. All this time, once, try to use the telescope. How come when you put your finger on the place that you're trying to illustrate, as you look at Brad Klontz getting ready to make his Mets debut, the notation is like 3 inches south of that? Is that in the telestrator handbook? You're an analyst. Explain it when we get back. Because Turk Wendell, who could probably do a better job telestrating than I just did, just worked a 1-2-3-7.
Insuring over 40 million people worldwide.
No, I don't need vinyl siding. This is an apartment. I can't get away from these salesmen.
I'm Jim.
Hi, Jim. This is for you. Hello? And make sure you deal with a pro, like your GMC dealer. It's closer than you think. Here, let's take a look.
The power you want, the space you need. Lease a loaded Jimmy SLS now for $296 a month with just $796 due at lease signing. See your tri-state GMC dealer.
Oh, no, don't get it.
You'll find it easy to get to.
But very hard to leave. It's the Mohegan Sun Way.
We keep the line short and the action non-stop. It's the Mohegan Sun Way.
Everybody wins at these tables. It's the Mohegan Sun Way. We'll make every visit one you'll remember. It's the Mohegan Sun Way.
Exit 76 off I-95 in Connecticut. Like no place on earth. Come experience
the Mohegan Sun Way.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by the Dime, the bank that's with you all the way. I got Healy with me all the way up here. Win or tie. Right. Go to the telestrator, you're on your own.
I thought you did a great job.
I don't know. How is it when you put your finger on second base, the telestrator picks up the pitcher's mound?
Anticipation's the key.
All right. Luis Lopez must have anticipated that fastball from Pedro Martinez in the 4th inning, launched it for a home run, leads off the Mets' 8th.
He broke his game bat, but it really wasn't his bat. It was Edgardo Alfonso's bat.
And the first pitch of the 8th inning by John Wasden, there for a strike. Lopez hit his first Mets home run last year off of Carlos Perez of the Montreal Expos, for whom Pedro Martinez played. 0-2 to Luis Lopez. Lopez, Brian McRae, Bernard Gilkey, scheduled hitters for New York here in the 8th inning. That's bats back in working order after the 3-game sweep in Pittsburgh. And Wasden was right in front of it to throw out Lopez. 1 gone in the 8th inning. And as we have revisited the 1986 World Series tonight, look at the home run that put New York ahead to stay in Game 7.
Now the windup in the delivery. Swung on, hit in the air, fairly deep to left field. Going back near the wall, looking out. Goodbye! Home run, Ray Knight! The Mets lead 4-3.
Off of Calvin Schiraldi. McRae lifts one foul. Vaughn over once again. This time Benjamin joins them. Probably figured they'd still have some of those sodas and peanuts out there. Vaughn was shopping again.
We had some footage last year of Mo Vaughn when he played at Seton Hall. And Howie mentioned at the time, didn't eat quite as well when he was a student at Seton Hall as he has in the past, although he's lost a lot of weight over the winter.
He's had to. Remember, he hurt his knee against the Mets last year. Missed some time. And the split, 0-2 to Brian McRae.
You know, we saw John Olerud hit a home run this game into the bullpen, and Luis Lopez. What amazes me is Ted Williams, when he played the first part of his career, the bullpens weren't out there, so he had to hit the ball even further to hit a home run.
And the 0-2 pitch bounced to Vaughn. And Vaughn takes it himself. I think Mo might have thought that was the 3rd out. Did he make a motion? Well, this is last week at Yankee Stadium. Remember, the Red Sox had an 11-0 lead. The Yankees were starting to come back. And this is only part of a Mo Vaughn tirade that earned him a reprimand from his mom. His mother saw some of that anger and frustration eking its way out in some less than choice words, some salty language, as you would say. And Mo's mom called Mo and set him straight. Said, that's a bad example.
Well, I know that his dad was a well-known educator in the state of Connecticut and had a tremendous influence on some youngsters. One in particular who told me that Mo's dad had a tremendous influence on him, Calvin Murphy, who was an outstanding basketball player from the state of Connecticut, grew up in that area, and Mo's dad had an influence on his life.
When we were in Houston, or at least the Mets were in Houston at the end of April, and you mentioned Calvin Murphy now, he's running the sports commission, I think, for the city of Houston, and he's in some hot water.
Yes, I read that same article.
Not sure exactly what the charges were, whether they're misappropriation of funds or things along those lines, but Calvin Murphy's in big trouble in Houston. It's got nothing to do with missing a free throw. He never missed a free throw.
No, had the record. Still has the record, I believe.
Gilkey needs a triple here to get the cycle. He's got a double, a home run, and a single. And the 0-2 to Gilkey. In the air, center field. Buford over. And there won't be a cycle tonight for Bernard Gilkey. If there is, Bobby Valentine's going to be angry because he's got an 8-run lead and Brad Klotz is on his way into it.
For a lot of new cars, mid-size means mid-power, mid-performance, middle of the road. Introducing the Regal Supercharged Challenge. Drive into your Buick dealer and check it out. Regal gives you supercharged power, performance, and great looks for thousands less. And now you can lease a supercharged Regal for just $319 a month. Take the Regal Supercharged Challenge.
Where's technology going? Photonics, pharmaceuticals, biotech. They're coming to Connecticut to grow. Software companies here are growing faster than in Silicon Valley itself. Since January of '96, more than 450 high-tech firms were launched from here in Connecticut, capitalizing on some of the most highly skilled workers in the world. Call us and see how much power we can put behind your business.
1-0 delivery to him. Gilkey, long drive. If it's fair, it's gone. It's over. Way back. Way back. Goodbye. Home run. It is. It's over. Mets win.
Show up at Shea on Father's Day, June 21st. All men 15 and over will get a Father's Day floppy hat courtesy of Tropicana and ShopRite. Be here when the Mets take on the Florida Marlins. For tickets, call 718-507-TIXX. That's 718-507-TIXX.
Happy Father's Day.
Go to the last of the 8th inning with the Mets leading 9-1, and the interleague wars continue Monday night. Fox Sports New York will have the Mets against Wade Boggs and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. First pitch a little after 7:30, and then on Tuesday, Hideo Nomo makes his Mets debut against the Devil Rays. Another 7:30 start here on Fox Sports New York. Interleague action coming up, so make sure to check your local listings. And welcome to the New York Mets, Brad Klontz. 27 years old, out of Stewart, Virginia. Pitched last couple of years with the Atlanta Braves. And then he was picked up on waivers by the Dodgers. Started the season in L.A. They sent him down to AAA. And the Mets picked him up late last night in the trade for Hideo Nomo as Dave Malicki and Greg McMichael went to the L.A. Dodgers. So Brad Klontz becomes the third Mets pitcher. Bobby Valentine and Bob Apodaca will take a look at his work. Jason Varitek, the Boston catcher, leads off here in the 8th inning. 9-1 Mets. And a nice play by Olerud. And Klontz got to the bag. Olerud wasn't sure whether or not he'd do it himself or Klontz would get there.
It looked like Varitek might beat this out. Nice play by Olerud. And he realized that Varitek had a shot at beating him the first, and he flips to Klontz.
Number 56, the left fielder.
Olerud said, I'm fast, but I'm not that fast.
So 1 out, nobody on. Darren Bragg, the batter. Now you'll notice that Klontz is that submariner. And generally, these right-hand submariners have trouble with left-hand batters.
And if you're right-handed you're facing, you want to try to hit the ball right back at the pitcher or to the right side. Tough to pull those guys. Double barrel action, both left-handers. Dennis Cook and Brian Bohannon in the Met bullpen.
1-0 now to Darren Bragg.
There he is.
And he's, again, you'll have to take our word for it, but he's got number 16 on under that jacket. First Met to wear it since Doc Gooden. Charlie Samuels, the equipment manager who's in charge of dishing out uniform numbers, was not going to give number 16 away, but then Nomo came along and he figured, all right, he's accomplished enough, I'll do it.
It's going to be interesting to see how Nomo adjusts to the media coverage, which is tremendous in New York. He's had a very acrimonious, I guess would be the word, relationship with the media from Japan.
And I think the media in New York is generally, and I'm not there all the time, of course, but what I hear is that the media, never mind the Japanese media, but the English-speaking media in Los Angeles is not generally as critical or demanding as they are in New York. And so that's something else for Nomo to concern himself with if he chooses to. If you look at the Delta Airlines upcoming schedule, we'll be back with you against the Tampa Bay Devil Rays on Monday. Fox and then ESPN will handle the rest of this series. And don't forget, Nomo makes his Mets debut in that Tuesday night game.
So it'll be Nomo pitching to Piazza, we hope, Tuesday in New York.
Well, Brett Butler, when he came to the Mets, really had to adjust, and he talked about it. He and I had one rather acrimonious discussion about the differences in reporting ball players on field. Never mind the off-field stuff, but just the way their on-field playing is reported in New York. Butler found much more harsh than it was in Los Angeles. Of course, that was his opinion. But he felt that the media here kind of looked for things that were negative. I didn't feel that way. I thought it was just a matter of reporting what he did. Brett Butler, when he was with the Mets in 1994, had what by his own admission was a miserable day at Shea Stadium. 2-1 to Darren Lewis. He was thrown out a couple of times on base, made 1 or 2 bad plays defensively. And I was doing the Mets Extra postgame show at the time, and basically said that Brett Butler probably played about as bad a game as he's capable of playing today. Pick up the papers the next morning. Butler said, and I quote, "That was the worst baseball game I ever played in my life," end quote. I get to Shea Stadium the next day. First thing I'm told is, "Hey, Butler's looking for you."
He's got boxing gloves on.
Said his wife heard what you said about him after the game and was never so embarrassed for her husband in her life. And all I was saying was the same thing that Butler said about himself. I said, "Listen, if you want a tape of it, I'll be glad to give you a tape." He said, "Okay, I'll take one." Never spoke to me about it again. Provided a tape, but never spoke to me about it.
Did he ever speak to you again?
No. But, you know. But the amazing, the point of the conversation here is that the New York media simply, if you have a bad game, say you had a bad game. Now, in certain cases, you can go overboard, but there was nothing overboard that day. And part of Butler's discussion with me in response to what he'd heard was how they never would have said things like that about me in Los Angeles, which I found stunning. Stunning, because there was nothing out of the ordinary about what he'd done that day. So that's something that perhaps, as we talk about Hideo Nomo, he'll have to deal with as well.
Rob, who has struggled in New York with the media, but especially with the Japanese media. Talking about Hideo Nomo.
That's pop foul, drifting back into fair territory. Castillo had his back to the plate and caught it halfway between the mound and home plate. First inning of work for Brad Klontz as a New York Met. And we go to the ninth. New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by Chase. The right relationship is everything. Ninth inning in Boston, all Mets tonight. They lead 9-1. They've hit 4 home runs, all against Red Sox starter Pedro Martinez. This is John Wasden facing Alberto Castillo, who has one of those home runs. Brian Barkley came on in the 5th inning at the start of the inning and worked 2 innings plus. Gave up 3 runs. Wasden got 3 outs in the 7th, got the Mets in order in the 8th. Wasden has retired all 6 that he's faced. Eduardo Alfonso hit a sacrifice fly to greet Wasden in the 7th inning. Looper towards second, and Benjamin's got it for the first out.
Well, back in the 1st inning, the season could have ended for Mike Piazza. He gets hit with a fastball from Pedro Martinez, and he had to leave the ball game. It's a contusion of the left hand, and he had it x-rayed. The x-rays were negative, but Alberto Castillo stepped in tonight and hit one over the green monster.
Second career home run, both this season for Castillo, and now Jim Tatum will bat for John Olerud. With the Mets leading by 8, Bobby Valentine giving Tatum an at-bat. Takes a slider. No balls, 1 strike on Tatum, who was one of about a half dozen Mets out for early batting practice today.
Well, you've got to take extra batting practice if you come into Fenway Park. You got to hit one over the wall.
Low wall, such a concern for so many who come into Fenway Park, but it has not played a role at all, at least in terms of defensively, balls going off it. Bobby says he's thinking about the wall. I was talking to Bobby about the art of playing left field here, because Bobby played it when he was with the California Angels. That's on the outside corner to Tatum.
The guy who played the wall the best I've ever seen, Carl Yastrzemski.
3 strikeouts now, but here's what Valentine told me. Bobby said his philosophy was to play shallow. Try to take the base hit away rather than worry about a ball dinging off the top of the wall or halfway up the wall. There's Yaz's number 8.
I'll never forget there was a headline in one of the New York papers when the Red Sox won it, I believe it was in '67. Yaz Mataz and all his jazz. Of course, Yaz grew up out in the Hamptons.
Fouled away by Baerga. Yastrzemski had one of those seasons in 1967 that so few players in the history of the game have ever had. He dominated a season, winning the Triple Crown.
Now he tied for the home run title with Harmon Killebrew.
And they gave him a Triple Crown the year after Frank Robinson had done it with the Baltimore Orioles.
And early that year, Robinson was leading in all three of those categories until he was injured.
But how many seasons have there been in baseball? It's a rhetorical question. There's no need to offer an exact guess. Have been known for one person. I mean, you think of 1985, you think of Dwight Gooden. You think of 67 here in Boston, you think of Yastrzemski. Baerga pops it to the left side. A committee, but finally it's Garcia-Parra who chairs. So the Mets go in order in the ninth, but they take a huge lead into the last of the ninth inning, and in comes Hudek. Last of the ninth inning, Mets in firm control of this one. Al Leiter, the beneficiary of this offensive explosion by the Mets. One last look at 1986 and how the World Series ended.
About to let the same thing happen to them.
He struck him out. Struck him out. The Mets have won the World Series, and they're jamming and crowding all over Jesse Orasco. The dream has come true.
Well, Mookie Wilson, central figure in the most famous at-bat in Mets history in Game 6.
I think it's unfortunate for Mookie also because he's going to be remembered for that error by Bill Buckner. Mookie had a real solid major league career. One of the most exciting base runners I've ever seen.
John Hudek into work the ninth inning. Obviously not in a save situation, but Bobby Valentine giving his entire bullpen, or at least some of it, a chance to get work. Kirk Wendell, Brad Klontz in his Mets debut. Klontz just walked one. Got the three other Red Sox hitters in the eighth inning. And the fastball 0-2. Well, maybe Hudek has something to gain from the trade because Bobby Valentine told me before the game that Brad Klontz essentially is just going to have to get to the back of the line in terms of Met relievers who are looking for work. And one of Bobby's main goals over the last little while has been to get more work for Mel Rojas. And this trade will give him the ability to do that. Slider missed, 1-2.
When I was talking to Dan Duquette down in the field, he was very high on Mel Rojas, who he had in Montreal. And Mel walked over, and when they were talking, Dan mentioned about the shape he's in, how he's in better shape than he's ever seen Rojas in.
So Garcia-Parra down on strikes. One gone in the ninth inning. Make sure to stay tuned tonight following our telecast of the Mets and the Red Sox to Fox Sports New York. Fox Sports News gets you up to date on all of the sports activity around the country today, including more on the Hideo Nomo trade.
Remember, the rumors were that Hudek would be traded away from the Mets. But when you watch him throw, he has that God-given gift of an overpowering fastball. You got to love his arm if he stays healthy. Should be a good matchup right here.
Fastball inside to Mo Vaughn. Single, a home run, and a double play.
And Hudek's going to challenge the hitter. He's going to throw fastballs. He's going to throw them for strikes, and you can beat him if you can make contact.
By the way, make sure to make contact with our post-game activities immediately after this game is over with. Deep to right field by Vaughn. Husky to the wall. That's O'Connor.
Well, he challenged him. And Vaughn made contact.
Second home run tonight for Mo Vaughn, accounting for both of Boston's runs. It's 9-2 New York. 17 home runs now for Vaughn.
Well, they got a dilemma here in Boston. He's very, very popular, but there's a real good chance the Red Sox are not going to be able to sign him. Very popular with the fans. He did a lot of community work here in Boston, although he's run into some controversy off the field during the off-season.
Yeah, he got picked up on a DUI, driving under the influence.
And here's that home run off the bat of Mo Vaughn. They had a 3-year contract on the table for Vaughn, but it's reported that after the DWI, they dropped it to 2 years.
Vaughn just went through the worst month of May of his career. Hit well over 300 lifetime during that month. Only hit 248 this year. And a lot of people in Boston tend to ask the questions that Mike Piazza's already started to hear on a daily basis. What are you going to do next year? You know, is Piazza going to sign with the Mets or not? Vaughn's been hearing that here all year, and some of the people covering this club thought that the volume of questions and the incessant curiosity about his intentions after this year might have started to get to him a bit.
Well, wherever the Mets go, there's Hideo Nomo, who just joined the ball club, traded over here yesterday. Wherever Mike Piazza goes, everybody swarms around him, and it's a taxing thing on a player, I'm sure.
2 men out of the 9th inning as Leyritz goes down on strikes, and just before Vaughn launched his 2nd home run of the night, we reminded you to stay tuned to our post-game show, not necessarily to see John Hudek strike Jim Leyritz out again, but to see the press conference held by Hideo Nomo earlier. And I'm telling you, they were swarming around him. They were swarming around Piazza. They were swarming around Dave Wallace. They were swarming around Bobby Valentine. Everybody wanting some input from those in the know regarding Nomo. And Nomo, through an interpreter, offered his own insight, and we'll have that for you. The press conference coming up as part of our post-game show, which will begin any moment now as Brian McRae settles under Buford's fly ball and put it in the books. The Mets end their 3-game losing streak rather emphatically. Hudek gives up the home run of the 9th to Mo Vaughn, which means nothing because the Mets have come in here and hammered the Red Sox 9-2. So the Mets, who lost 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox last year, win the opener of this 3-game series tonight.
And one of the big bats, the catcher with the Mets, Alberto Castillo. A home run after Mike Piazza was hit by a pitch and had to leave the ball game. Castillo congratulating Hudek. And John Olerud with a big night. Bernard Gilkey going up into the screen over the Green Monster. And Luis Lopez a home run.
4 of them off of Pedro Martinez. 4 of 11 hits the Mets had. Nomo and Masato Yoshii, good friends back in Japan, reunited as New York Mets. 9-2 New York, your final. We're coming right back.